advisors. But I get afraid if he makes that statement, then it's very clear what pharma has to do.
But they already know what they have to do. They know it.
Is that the truth?
Oh,
all right. Well, fuck
this
it
This
then.
is the ball game.
Okay.
And let's take it all back. To hell with it. Yeah.
I'm sorry. And the fact that he won't say it just encourages them to keep going because they think they've got a shot.
But there's no line in the sand.
I mean, draw the line in the sand. What's wrong with the line in the sand?
I don't know.
It's well, here.
No, I surrender. Really.
Here's the natural follow-up, which is from Belinda in Renton. What can progressives do to help further the public option? And, she says, please prepare this panel for nutcase teabaggers disrupting this forum. Thanks.
So far,
this is your chance.
Yeah, no, you lost your chance to disrupt this forum.
That's right.
We're doing it ourselves.
Yeah, so
exactly right.
I was hoping for it. I'm liquored up and ready to go. Come on.
Does anybody have anything they want to fight with Stephanie about? Because this would be the chance.
You know, Hartman had a box of tea bags backstage.
That's true, we do, yeah.
He was going to bring him out here and toss them to the audience, and we subdued him. You know, he said no.
But people, your listeners look to you all, sometimes inexplicably, for leadership and ideas, and this question has come up in a couple of different ways in the pile I got here, which is, what can we do? Tell us what we should do. Is there anything that specifically helps? And you talked about putting the list up, you know.
I was going to say, just for one example, I put the list up of the 13, and it works. I mean, at least 3 of those Democrats so far have publicly, I'm not saying it's just because we did it, but they get so much pressure that they publicly said, we are now for the public plan option, and it's a line in the sand. It's got to be there. Who?
Rick Larson.
Rick Larson.
All right. We were just looking at the Democrats in the Senate. I'll put them on the list. All right. All right.
Come on. He got Maria Cantwell. I mean, that's.
But I say identify the people who are not in the House or the Senate, Democrats.
Yeah.
Focus on the Democrats who are not for the public plan option on the line. I mean, none of this bullshit about I'll consider it or I'm open to it. They've got to be for it, and it's an essential part of the bill. And if they're not, go after them. Go after them every day.
Yep, absolutely.
What else? Tom?
This question here could be evidence that the opponents are winning the day. But the question from Bill and Sammamish is, on the public option for health care, why can't we make it simple? And is it a difficult concept, or do you think that is part of the opponents? I mean, it clearly is part of the opponents, but are they winning that part of the argument, that even just calling it a public option is too confusing for the American public?
I think we need to refer to the current system as a pay or die system. And, you know, we need a few sound bites like that. Oh, you want pay or die health insurance, health care? Because that's what we have right now. And the Democratic Party has, ever since the rise of Frank Luntz, and actually I'd even go back into the Reagan administration, the Democratic Party has not kept up with the sophistication of the advertising industry that has been employed by the Republican Party. And they desperately need it. I wrote a book, Cracking the Code, in the desperate hope that a few Democrats would read it, and a few actually have, and I've gotten some good feedback, but you know, that they would start using these tools. I mean, for example, who would want to vote for something called S-chip? You know, it sounds like something you avoid in a cow patty. Yeah. You know? And yet it's, you know, it's a vital piece of legislation to protect children's health. You know, or lie heap. I mean, who would want to get lie heap? It lies. It's a heap. Come on, you know, that's the low-income housing heating program, and it's like. But the Republicans propose, you know, the Save American program, you know, the Save 10,000 American Lives, the Save Protect American Babies program. Yeah, I mean, we've got, I mean, you know,
Well, no, the Democrats have not learned how to. The Democrats have not learned how to use the language that explains very quickly whether the explanation is around the issue or not. But the words, the language used by the Republicans gets a visceral reaction, and politics is a visceral situation. So, yeah, you're absolutely right. I didn't read your book. Somebody said, you haven't read that? You know, but if I tried to read all your books, I'd go blind, you know.
He just wrote another one while we're here. He
wrote one back.
It's true. Just route back there during the break.
Yeah.
But
don't drink the water.
Number 65, I think.
Whatever.
But the corruption of language that has occurred, and that's one of the keys to what you were talking about. Only you used Italian. One of the keys to establishing the fascist or corporatist state, which is what Mussolini called it, is to corrupt the language. Look at what Winston Smith. Look what his job was to totally corrupt. Look what Newspeak is, a total corruption of language. And I think that's the key to what we're talking about.
Yeah, no, I do too, and this is an important month. And may I say, I'm no Tom Hartman, but when the moon hits your eye like a big pizza pie, that's amore.
That's amore.
My point is, when you look at a lot of these polls, and we've talked about this on the air, when they explain the president's plan, people go, yeah, I'm for that. And then they're like, are you for the president's plan? No, I'm not for that. Because you're right, the right wing has gotten out here, Tom, with enough of their lies and enough of their talking points that people have distorted what the plan is. When you ask all of the main pillars of the president's plan, people are for it in large numbers. So that's our job, is what Bill is saying too. Get out there, call your congressmen and your senators, and get out there and talk about what it really is combating this like wall of right-wing lies.
I think the biggest mistake the Democrats made in this whole thing with the single option, with the public option, is not having it be a buy-in to Medicaid or Medicare. Because if they had done that, they could simply say, because when you ask people in focus groups and in studies, would you like to be able to buy into Medicare? You get like 80-90% yes. Right. And instead they're coming up with this whole brand new thing from scratch, from the ground up, and it's insane. It should have been, do you want to have your own, do you want to continue to buy from your health insurance company, or would you like to buy into Medicare like people over 65 can? And it should have been that simple.
And I should say that was the second part of what Bill wrote here. That was his idea. He said, I pay about $20,000 a year out of pocket for my family's health insurance, so I got to think buying Medicare would be cheaper and better. The profit would help to save Medicare as well. I mean, there is a way to change the conversation a little bit there.
Tom's right. I mean, just buy Medicare for everyone. We already have a government health care program. It works very well. People are satisfied with it.
Medicare for all.
It just doesn't extend to everybody.
And they could have languaged it from the beginning in a way that even the Blue Dogs couldn't have fought back. Mm-hmm. But frankly, I suspect that they didn't think it through, or they've got enough Blue Dogs. Well, I don't want to get into all the conspiracy theories about what's going on in the White House and the advisors and whatnot. I frankly don't honestly know. But I think it was just a huge mistake on their part.
Yeah, imagine these town hall meetings if when half of the people who are shouting and screaming are on Medicare and they're screaming about a government-run health care. How about if you could just turn to them and say, well, what are you saying, that nobody should have the health care plan you have? Mm-hmm. That would be the answer. Well, we just want everybody to have what you have.
Right. Well, how about Congressman Weiner put forward a bill saying, let's demolish Medicare.
Yeah.
Because that's what you got. Listen, Republicans, stand up. If that's what you're saying, you think this is horrible, this government-run health care.
Do the VA, too.
Now, Obama actually did get close to this early on, and he should have repeated this every single day. He said, what we want to have is every American have the right to have the same insurance that members of Congress have. Yeah. The problem is that members of Congress don't have Medicare. They have basically the same thing that any corporate executive has, which is that they split the cost. They actually pay part of the cost themselves with Blue Cross or with United Healthcare. They've got like 5 or 6 insurance companies. Bernie Sanders, he buys Blue Cross. And so tragically, it's not an accurate argument. But it was still a great meme. It was a great soundbite. And he needed to use it like 300 or 400 times, and he only used it 2 or 3 times.
Yeah. I wonder why the Democrats haven't done what Ron was just talking about. Just come out and say, here's your choice. Do you want to continue with this horrendous system, or do you want everybody to be eligible for Medicare and call it Medicare?
Right.
I mean, Jesus, how hard is that?
Yeah.
Why didn't the Democratic Party leadership do that? That's my question.
Maybe because it might have worked.
Yeah, so the bigger enemy for us is the Democrats.
See, that's what we should do with gay marriage. It's like, just don't call it marriage. Should everyone have the same rights? Yes, let's call it cabbage.
Yeah. Gay cabbage.
Gay cabbage.
Yeah.
Cabbage for all.
let's move
Free
on.
cabbages in every pot.
We're going to move away from healthcare for a moment.
Especially the pot grown in California.
Have you ever smoked?